Hey, how did everyone do? Hope, hope some of you guys got caught a little bit of the downside move today. Um, so all right, so we're just gonna wing this. Basically, I'll just go over what how NQ is looking and how SPY is looking, and then some of the things that I saw and some of the setups that I took. All right, so here's NQ for the most part. We go to cool. So if we go down to, I've been posting this chart all day, but essentially, we had this broadening range. Um, I actually did not think we were going to go all the way back down to here, but amazingly, we did. So during this, we took out a couple of key supports. If we let's go to 4 hours, for example, right? So this is what I talk about. Like if it's blowing through demand zones, right? You can kind of gauge how strong this move is, up or down by how strongly it violates demand zones, right? So we had this 1 hour demand zone just went straight through it, sliced through like it was butter, right? This one right here, it bounced a little bit, but then it sliced it like butter, right? And then this one right here, this is a pretty strong demand zone, a 2 hour demand zone, right? And it has a 1600 psych level with it. And then in an hour, less than an hour, it sliced through all of these like butter, right? Um, what does that tell you? So like, I'm not looking to go long on this bottom trend line because of just like how badly or how strongly it violated all of these, right? Um, at this point, you like the writing is on the wall for the if you didn't see like I did, like at this point I was starting to think that the writing was on the wall, that this was going to be a bearish day, but I wasn't 100% convinced, right? At this point I was still not 100% convinced because there was a good chance that we just bounce right here and then the market goes up and does something like this, right? But once it makes a new low right here and it's slicing through this demand zone, especially once it slices to the $1,600 psych level, like the writing is on the wall, right? This couldn't be a clearer signal that um, you know, like puts was the thing. I mean, this was like the last hour or something. But yeah, if if you're like pretty good, like you can catch it like around here, you know, if you can potentially formulate your decision like right around here, but like you have to like be bearish by the time it gets down to here. Um, all right, so that was the cues for today. And then the other thing here was, it this move in pre-market was pretty choppy, right? A pretty choppy move, and I think I mentioned this in pre-market. Like this is a pretty choppy move up, right? Ideally, you want something like this. It's like just a smooth move up, right? This was like a pretty smooth move up, but like this is like pretty choppy. A lot of indecision here, and then these upper wicks are pretty telling. And the fact that it didn't even get to this upper trend line, it's just even more weakness, right? All right. How does this look like today? Yeah. So again, it blew like if you actually draw these demand zones, right? If you just draw these zones, right? It went all the way to the bottom of this zone like almost immediately. It came up, and then on this move, it just sliced through it, right? This is a good short right here because again, this demand zone just got violated. Like it's like it wasn't even there. Like so, this is a good short. Again, this is a good short. And then here's another zone right here. Again, violated. It just like this didn't even have a bounce. It just went straight through, right? So, like I said, all of these were just opportunities to go short on these bounces, right? The minute you identify something like this, they're like all of these bounces are just opportunities to go short. And where do you stop out, right? So if you go short right here, right? Well, you just stop out if it goes above here, if it makes a new higher high. So if you enter here, right, your stop has to be up here. Has to. If you're stopping like right here or like right there, like you're stopping too early before the move is confirmed to be reversed. Okay, so that's how you could have played the cues. I didn't trade the cues today, but I was just using them essentially as a guide to how I would be trading things. Um, for the most part, most of the day, all I was doing was I was looking for, quote unquote swings, not necessarily day trades, something that I can hold overnight that has a potential to gap down. So now is like the is the main one that I've played for the past 2 days. um, and basically this whole setup is and this is like I mentioned this in the last stream that we did, like this is the 30 moving average, right? So I've mentioned that I use this sort of as a gauge to see if something is strong or not, right? You can see here that it has a strong move up, right? And it comes down and then it reclaims the 30 moving average and then it moves up again. But, obviously it's losing its steam, right? So this move up was very clean, but now, it retraces below the 30 moving average because ideally on when stocks are like uptrending, it just bounces onto 30, right? So here's a bounce, here's another bounce, and it just keeps moving, right? But this is the first sign of weakness because it actually went below. It broke above it, right? But this move is it's like it's not clean anymore, right? It's a very choppy move now. Um, so this is a stock moving into stage two is when it's moving up, right? It's moving into stage two into stage three. Stage three is like when it's like slowing down. It doesn't have as much upward momentum. It starts breaking below the 30 moving average, right? So here's a strong bounce, right? And then it bounces again, but this time it actually broke through, right? And this right here is just the retest of the 30 moving average. This is all I'm looking for. It retests the 30 moving average and it failed. And this is when I saw this yesterday. This is actually where I entered, like right around here. And this was my original price target. I got some scales here, and then I held some overnight, and I got stopped out like right around here. But then I re-entered because the strength of this move was so strong. Um plus the overall market was selling off, so I was looking for a place to re-enter today, and I re-entered at VWAP. Essentially, this is if I put VWAP on, you'll see it. Okay, I don't normally have VWAP on thinkorswim, but let's add it today. Yeah, right here. This is where I added right at VWAP. I pretty much added here, and then I just held this for the rest of the day. And you'll notice like all these bounces were just these were actually opportunities to get to add. I didn't add, but I did scale out on a couple of these, and I'm still holding a couple of runners into tomorrow because there's a good chance here now. So this is a good support area right here. That's why I didn't want to hold a large position overnight because this is a good support area, prior resistance, right? So there's a good chance that it does bounce here. Maybe it does some sort of dead cat bounce, but if it gaps down, that's even better. But you can see here the volume profile here too. There's not a lot of people here, but like down right here to like right here, there's a lot of people who are holding positions around this area. So there's a good chance that if the price gets back to their original spot where they bought, then they might just add to their position, right? And if that's the case, then you'll see the price going back up, right? And that's in line with again these former resistance. But we'll see. If the market really wants to sell off, this can go lower, right? So one of the biggest paradoxes in the entire market that you know what's low can always go lower and what's high can always go higher, right? A lot of you I know because I used to be like this too. It's like, oh, it's too high. There's no way I can buy it. Or, oh, that's too low. There's no way I can enter puts. That's not the case. A lot of times what's low is low for a reason. And sometimes you want to get in on that train. Or some stuff that's really high is really high for a reason. And you want to get in on that train also, right? So what you're doing is you're just looking for the next entry to hop onto that train, right? You don't want to get in like right here. You want to wait for a bounce and then get in on that train, right? So here's PayPal, right? A lot of people wanted to go long here. Here's the bounce. This was your opportunity to get in on this train. And then look, you're 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 riding this train now with everyone else, right? Here's another opportunity, right? Another retest of the 30 moving average. This would have been a nice opportunity to go short, and then you could have rode this all the way down. And that's what I've been doing with Square, because Square is another payment provider, right? If you put these side by side, this, you know, you just put these side by side. Square is going to follow a lot what PayPal's doing. Very similar chart, right? Very similar chart. It's just that PayPal is like a couple days ahead, right? So, right, here's Square retesting the 30. You could have got in here. Here's PayPal retesting 30 and it went down, right? So again, these are just good opportunities to get in. Now the thing is, Square has this major support here, this super support right here. So it's a little bit riskier to get in now, right? What you want to see Square do is do something like this, right? And then reject. Then this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and get in. It does something like this. There's a good gap right here. There's a pretty big gap right here. There's a pretty big gap right here, volume gap. You can see. So if it does get into this volume gap, it's a good chance it goes right through it, and then it doesn't stop until like 160, right? Um, but yeah, this is essentially this is the main setup I've been looking for, like these retests of 30 moving averages, and I just wait intraday for a bounce, and then I'll take it short there, or I'll take puts. So I'll pull up now. So again, now this is essentially the retest of the 30. That's when I got in, and then I got back in today. So you can see also Affirm. The reason why I wanted to take Affirm overnight was, here's the retest of the 30. Well, this is the original retest of the 30 moving average, and it failed. And this is really this is what you want to see on these retests of these moving averages. Like you want to see it go up and then wick down really hard. So this would have been a really good entry for puts, right? And then again, this bounce right here would have been a really good entry. I took a firm short here. I overnighted it on this day, which was this was Friday. I took a firm overnight, and then this ended up being a good win for me. I don't know. I was on voice that day, but I took a firm puts here because the volume. Look at this volume here, right? You get these three green candle days, but the volume just kept declining, right? And the size of these bars were the same, right? So this is obviously a volume anomaly to me. So I took puts on this day. I almost got shaken out on Monday when it spiked up, but I just added to my position. I should have held it longer, but I did close out most of this position I think this was. But yeah, this was a good opportunity to take this retest down. Now, what I'm looking for is where can a firm potentially bounce, right? This is a very big volume shelf right here, so it's no surprise that it bounced here today, right? Let's go look at the weekly. Yeah, so it is in the demand zone right now, in a weekly demand zone. So it really has to clear through this weekly demand zone if we want to see a firm go lower, right? But if everything else is selling off, these demand zones, like I said, are getting sliced through, right? If a firm gets below this right here, then this whole gap is in play. Like it can get down. If it gets down to 105 or 104, it's gonna see 100. 100%, it's gonna see, right? Okay, that's what I'm seeing in a firm. And then pretty much all the market leaders, everything that was ripping up, are the ones that are selling off right now. You can just imagine all these hedge funds are taking their profits to end the year, so they're selling out their positions. A lot of these things that have just been ripping all year, they're taking their profits, right? So DOCN is another one. Look at this, a perfect retest of the 30 moving average, a retest and fail, right? So this would have been a really nice entry. Did not enter this one. Asan, Asana. Oh my gosh, like this would have been perfect. Um, and it's trying to retest this 30, but it's so weak that it didn't even get close to it, right? What else? Snow, a slightly different setup, but here it is, retesting the 30 moving average. Um, you if you did take this one right here, there's a good chance you would have gotten stopped out, right? But because it broke through the above the 30 moving average a little too. But yeah, let's take a look at SPY real quick. So I think there's room down on SPY, and I think the reason is, show you what I'm seeing. So again, a bearish engulfing candle today, like a bearish engulfing candle on top of a bearish candle. That's pretty weak to me. And I think so. It would have been nice to bounce right here at this former resistance, but the fact that we're slicing right through it, I think there's a good chance now that we get even lower, right? So let's see where we could potentially go. There is a gap right here. I think there's a small gap right here. There's a good chance that we fill in this gap. And this would bring us down to like the 450, or we're already at 450. This will bring us down to like 447, something like that. Yeah, I think there's room down. Like this, there's just not, there's a gap right here, the volume profile. So this may be good, 445 or something like that. I think there's room to there. And the volume is increasing here. Um, well, a little less today, but it's not like it's doing this move on low volume. You would have liked to see larger volume today, but it's not. It's still decent volume. If this is the selling volume, the top of the selling volume right here, then we have a little bit ways to go before we reach like seller exhaustion. Um, yeah, so I definitely think there's room down. Let's look at Qs. But again, that doesn't mean like we can't, like, if we see some sort of dead cat bounce tomorrow and we do something like this, right? That can totally happen, and then all of a sudden we might chop around in this range for a day or two or a couple days. But then I think eventually, we'll like we could form a bear flag, and then we'll see, then we'll go, right. So be aware of this scenario too, right? Like this move down might not come all in like tomorrow, right? It could do something like this, right, where it went down and then it bounced around for 3 or 4 days before moving down further, right? So again, watch out for this scenario. But again, these are just opportunities to go re-short on stuff, right? Let's look at the Qs. Qs is already, it closed below the 30 moving average today. Did SPY do that? Oh, SPY's been done that. All right, so Q's, this is pretty symbolic right here. The fact that it closed below the 30 moving average today, that's like a siren call to all the bears out there to like apply even more pressure, right? Again, that doesn't mean that we don't see some sort of chop and then a move down, right? But again, you can guarantee that there are bulls who are watch or bears who are watching for a close below the 30 moving average, and then once that happens, that's when they either add to their position or um, I definitely think we see at least this resistance right here, this former resistance. So if that's the case, then we definitely will see like 380, 385 or something. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if we gap down in the morning and then we bounce up tomorrow, chop around here for. But again, a lot of weakness. Good volume on the Qs, but there is still room to add more selling volume here, right? So we have reached this volume before. We haven't reached that max yet. All right, so that's what I'm seeing on the Qs and whatnot. Again, and if you see this, this is a clear head and shoulders right here. I posted this. I think Ari posted this in his charts. I did as well, but there's a clear head and shoulders right here. So if this was the neckline, then we just broke and we just closed below this. I think this neckline would actually be like this. So we definitely broke through this neckline and we closed it, closed below it. So again, it wouldn't be surprising for me like if we do some sort of like move up tomorrow, maybe pierce through the 30 moving average a little bit and then come back down. Like I would not be surprised if we do something. Test this neckline and then come back down. And then how does that look like intraday? Yeah, it would be just in line with this former support right here. So this prior resistance or prior demand zone, so let's say this is the demand zone. And that would be almost a perfect rejection off of this demand zone. And then a sell down, right? So there are bulls here who are currently underwater, right? So if the price happens to bounce back up into their entry, they're gonna sell their position for break even. They're gonna be thankful to get out break even. They're gonna sell, and then we'll see the rejection down. Right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we do something like that. I think we are already doing something like that right now. Are we? This is the NQ. Let's go to N. Let's go to NQ. Yeah. So we are doing something like that already. Yeah, I would not be surprised. So if we get some sort of dead cat bounce, come back up, right? And it's gonna look bullish, right? So a lot of bulls are gonna get in, they're gonna hop in, and then potentially they'll bring it back down. So just be aware of that scenario, right? So a lot of people are like buying this dip up right now, but I don't think it's a bad idea to buy this dip. But I wouldn't be going super heavy just yet, right? Because there is room down, right? Today, potentially could have been a good day to take a starter position on a couple of leaps, right? But I would not have used up all of my ammo just today. I definitely think you might get better prices, if not this week, then maybe next week. But yeah, look for this tomorrow. We'll see what happens in pre-market. I definitely think we might get some relief bounce here, but I'll be watching this prior support. So you can see it right here. This is the prior range right here, right? We had a couple of lows right here. Might even be able to bring this down lower. So we'll see if it gets back into this box a little bit. It's like I said, if they're gonna make it look bullish, right? And then then potentially they'll bring it back down. The only way I would be like super bullish is if it goes up to here and it just like tomorrow, it's like we start the day like right here, like that, or like by 10 o'clock we're like up here, right, and we're like piercing these former supports right here. Um, that would just be that would be a pretty ridiculous move. Because then that would be essentially three 100% retracements in a row, right? So we have this day, full sell off, 100% retracement, and then another 100%, 150% retracement. And then if we were to do a whole 100% retracement of today's move, that'd be very sick. That'd be very sick. I would not expect that to, but yeah. Any questions? Any tickers anyone wants to go? I can spend a couple of minutes. But I hope that was helpful about like how I'm looking at the market and how I'm evaluating some of these swing trades that I've taken. If not, then I guess we can all hop off. How's that sound? I'll stay on for like 30 more seconds. Any questions? Was this helpful? If this was helpful, let me know in the chat, and yeah, I'm looking to do a little bit more of these every on days like today, where today was just a pretty big anomaly. But all right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. Thanks for hopping in, and I'll post the video and the workshops once it's uploaded. All right, everyone.
Super, super helpful, Roboto. It's awesome. Thank you as usual.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you know, Mr. Roboto, Mr. Roboto.
Hey, what's up?
So, would you, so for example, between AMD and Nvidia, so pretty much both are pretty bearish right now, but if you had to buy puts on one of them, which one would it be?
Yeah, good question. Let's see. Question was if I had to buy puts on either AMD or Nvidia, which one and like why? All right. First off, let's look at the daily. Look at the daily on AMD. So I think for me, in the short term, like tomorrow, I would rather buy puts on Nvidia. The main reason is because it has this gap. So there's a good chance that you're gonna get, if it gets into this gap, you're going to see 304. And if you see 304, there's a good chance you're probably gonna see 300. Right. So you have a $15 move here. That's like high likelihood, right? Um, yeah, that's what I would say. And then they both look pretty bearish.
Yeah, I get it. Both of them close below trend lines.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I like Nvidia more. In terms of buying puts for like tomorrow or for like a day trade or something. I think it has a good chance of hitting this gap, right? Um, and it is a little bit more overextended as opposed to AMD, right? AMD's been tricky. I think that's why I think a couple of other semis have been better trades than AMD. But yeah, I definitely think Nvidia, because of this gap, right? This might be a really good. Um, but then it does have this strong support right here, this upper resistance right here. A lot of shorts here. So another thing to think about is supply turned demand zones, right? In markets where the market is bearish, right, and the whole all the indices are selling off, the likelihood that the underwater bears are gonna like cover their positions here is probably reduced, right? If you think about it, right? Because like if even though you were feeling a lot of pain, if you took shorts here, right, and for some reason you held through all of this and it gets back into your zone, right, and you can potentially be break even, well, all like these bears might not cover, or they might not cover their entire position, because they might feel like the momentum has switched to their side, right? So they might get greedy and actually hold their shorts, right? So think about that. So these supply turn demand zones might not they might not have as strong of a bounce as they would have previously if we were like in um a bullish market, right? So that's one thing that I'm considering right now for a lot of these supply turn demand zones, right? Doesn't mean you don't scale here, but maybe you still hold a little bit of your short here. You do get down to here. But yeah, they both look bearish. I think this because of the gap, and yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. That's smart. Thank you.
cool. All right, there's no other questions. I'm just gonna go ahead and hop off. I'll post some charts later on tonight. But all right, talk to you guys later.